All right. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for coming to our webinar today. We're going to be talking about lessons from AI MVPs. We're very fortunate to have a couple of early stage founders with us who have built and shipped real AI products fast. So in terms of our guest today, we have Richard Sprague, who's a longtime health tech executive, spent the last 10 years working with health tech startups on direct-to-consumer diagnostics, biohacking, longevity, and other personal science topics. He also publishes the weekly newsletter at personalscience.com and has previously worked at Microsoft, Apple, and many startups. Rodrigo is the CEO and co-founder of Propio, an AI-powered bookkeeping company based in the Seattle area. And both Rodrigo and Richard will be both talking about and sharing their products today and talking about their journey and some of the lessons learned that we believe will be helpful for the audience. We also have Javier with us, who's the CEO of HAL9, and myself. I'm a fractional product and go-to-market advisor working with HAL9 on their go-to-market. So in terms of our agenda today, we're going to be talking about founder case studies. And so most of today is going to be hearing from Richard and Rodrigo about their journey and their products. Then we'll talk about HAL9 and where we fit into this process and how we can help AI founders build AI-powered products and features. Then we're going to talk about your next steps that you could take after this, and we'll also have some QA time at the end for all the speakers. If you have some questions along the way, please put them into the Q&A panel in the side. And if you have any issues as we go along, any challenges, go ahead and put a note in there as well, and Javier can help you out. So AI founders face a number of challenges. It's an unprecedented time in a lot of ways. There's a lot of change going on in the AI space. A lot of new opportunities opened up by AI and the growth in the number of solo founders and small companies delivering AI solutions. But AI founders face challenges like product market fit. How can you make sure your product is actually a fit in a crowded market? Are you solving a real valuable problem? Who are your target users, and can you articulate your value proposition? Often just being able to articulate what you want to build is the first challenge. There's a lot of uncertainty and hype in AI, a lot of overload out there, a lot of so-called AI experts that have a magic formula for you, and that can often lead to either imposter syndrome or just people to tune out. But at the same time, it's important to know that AI is not the solution to every problem. You need to think about that and make sure your target audience is ready to use AI. Once you're ready to get going, it's often expensive to hire AI and machine learning talent. There's a lot of competition for it. And then once you've validated your idea and you're ready to roll it out, there's a ton of complexity in actually putting the infrastructure in place. You want to make sure that your product is going to scale, both for the number of users and the size of data that's out there. You want to make sure that you'll be able to maintain this product and extend it. Often people, hope to get a prototype out there, and then they find out that there's challenges in actually translating that into a real sustainable product, which is part of where HAL9 comes in, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. As part of that infra complexity, there's also data privacy concerns, there's IP concerns, depending on which platform you're using. You want to make sure that you fully own what you've created with your hard work. And then if you're using hosted APIs, there's often surprises there in terms of how much is it going to cost, and that can be hard to predict. So having seen a large number of founders go through this journey before, we recommend a three-step process. One is really validating the idea, where you're focusing on understanding what value your product provides and what's your unique advantage. Why you, why now to create this? And it's important that you validate this with real users. Things that seem like a great idea for you might not actually resonate with that many people out in the world. Once you've validated the idea, it's useful to build a working prototype, something where people can actually interact with, and you can understand not just the problem, but the user flow and the integration that's needed. Often this starts with a single usable AI-driven value loop. And this is great to test with a small group. And then once you've further validated that and you've got a more concrete idea, that's where you often go to production. That's where you want to build a minimum viable product with a proper backend, something that's scalable and robust and maintainable. And again, this is where HAL9 really shines as a potential trusted partner. Where HAL9 steps in is we help startup founders launch and scale AI products. We provide a fully managed AI service where we work with you to design, build, host, and maintain your AI-driven features and products. We've delivered proven value. We are powering products now with over 10,000 users and millions of monthly interactions. You'll be hearing about a couple of those products in just a moment from our guest founders. And very importantly, whether you're a technical or a non-technical founder, we can work with you. Whether you're just learning about the AI space and you're coming from it with a deep domain expertise to solve a given problem, or whether you have the technical depth, but simply not the time or inclination to build the solution yourself, we can help you either way. And in addition to the customers that you'll be hearing from today, we have helped many customers build AI products, providing everything from end to end, including the infrastructure and customization. We've got a number of case studies on our website, so welcome you to check those out and hear from founders in their own words, which is a great segue into what we're doing next. So first off, I'd like to hand off to Richard, founder of Proofbound, which provides AI-powered book creation. So Richard, please take it away.
Yeah, thanks again for the opportunity to talk to you today. I didn't actually start out intending to make an AI application like this. I have a day job. My co-founder and I have been working for the last couple of years on various health tech related projects, including a special type of camera that we had been taking around to various different trade shows to show off. And that was what we were working full time on. But one of the issues that we ran into was that people who were interested in buying our camera is a little bit expensive. It's a couple $1,000s. They don't necessarily want to plop down money right away. They want to know that our camera makes good sense scientifically and for everything else they're trying to do. And so we came up with the idea. You could have like marketing materials. You could have maybe a couple of peer-reviewed research journals or that kind of stuff to show around. But we thought it might be even better to make a book. And so we know how to use AI. So we used some AI tools and kind of through a clunky process, we made a book, and that turned out to be a really great way to be able to help sell our product. And it worked out so well that I thought, this might make an interesting idea for a side project anyway. But like I said, I've got a day job and I can't spend a lot of time on this. So that's when I ran into HAL9. And those guys were able to, just by me showing the basics of what the spec was and what I wanted to get done, in like a week, I had my very first prototype. And within a month, we had something that we could ship. So it was very impressive kind of speed that I could do. And it was especially good because, like I say, it wasn't something that I could devote my full time to. And now we do have a working prototype, a pretty good product that works now on the website. And I'll do a quick demo just to give you a basic idea of how it works here. So I can share my screen, and yes, right here. And Lou, you can see my screen now, I think, right?
I can.
Yeah, great. So here's the idea. So go to proofbound.com. And we have two different options for our customers. One is fully automated. If you push this button, you will get to a series of screens where you enter the information about the book that you want to have, and it will generate it automatically from start to finish. When it's over, and I'll show you an example of it in a minute, you'll have the PDF copies of the book itself, book cover, and everything that you need in order to be able to submit this book to any distributor, like including Amazon. The other option that we offer is we call Elite Service, where if you push this button, you will get another similar kind of form where you enter everything, but this one will get reviewed by our experts. So we'll look at it and we'll just make sure that it's kind of like a little bit more professional. So what I would do is I would use the Elite Edition if I was going to do something like I did for my own conference work, where I need a book that I can stand behind, that I trust. And and I just want to be able to have it printed and nicely done. So it takes a few minutes to generate this, so that I'm not going to do the full demo today, but we do have a demo version online that can give you a sense of how easy it is to work normally. And you can check this out later at our website anytime. So in this case, I'm going to walk through the steps that it takes to generate a book and show you how easy it is. I will simulate what I did when I created my first book. You give it a book title, author name, and then you can describe the book in as much detail as you want. Then I hit this generate demo structure. Now this happens much faster because I'm showing the demo right now, but normally it would think for a little bit. It would come up with a set of up to 10 chapters. It depends on the length of the book that you want. So if you wanted to have in this case, I want something between 100 and 200 pages. And so I could set that. It generates a little bit of an overview of each chapter. And then I can move the chapters around, delete things as I like. And when I get to have an outline of roughly what I want, and then I go to the next step. And now I can review each of the chapters. And in fact, I can generate the text for each chapter. Now, again, typically generating the text would take a couple minutes, so I'm not going to show that here. But in this demo application, I hit that button and poof, it generates the chapter. Or I can generate all the content at once. And now that my book has been generated, the next thing I'd want to do is make a PDF of it. Now, working with HAL9, we developed some algorithms that make it so it's precisely formatted with the exact dimensions that you need in order to be able to upload it to a typical book distribution service like Amazon. And that's what it is right here. I can then download that, and I can show you. Are you able to see this screen too now? Lou, I just want to make sure you can see the
Yes,
title of the
yes, I
book
can.
and yes, good. Okay,
Oh,
good.
no,
Actually, so,
no, I'm still seeing your website. I'm not.
oh, okay,
Oh,
all right,
I have
okay. Well, we
a
can
better
show you.
idea, Richard. So Richard did this
Oh, do you
process
want to
and
show
sent
me
me.
you've got the printed book there in front of
Yeah,
you,
so
so go
Richard
ahead.
did
Yeah.
that. The book arrived on my on my house, and I think it's pretty much the same one that you're generating, right, Richard?
Yes, yeah.
Um,
Yep.
yeah,
So
and
we make a printed copy for you, just like that one, with images and an index and everything you need to have a professional book. And I'll show you then again, once you generate that PDF, we hit the next step here, and we can also generate a very pretty cover. And again, this is push that button, and there's your cover. And that's about it. That's about what it takes to be able to put this together. Now, what's been especially nice about working with HAL9 is that, like I say, I've got other responsibilities, so I don't really have a lot of time to devote to this. But to the degree that I do want to devote time to it, it's through I'd rather spend my time doing the marketing of it or doing the various different things to find partners and co-promoters, and because that's just kind of like what my own particular interests are. And it's been great to be able to work with HAL9 because the HAL9 people can worry about the details of the implementation and scaling. And I just work at what I'm interested in, which is the product itself. So, so that's just a brief overview of what I've done. And I guess I'll pass it back to you, Lou, or
Okay.
to anybody who wants to ask me questions.
So, Richard, that was great. Thank you for sharing that. And a very cool product. I guess as you talked a little bit about this, but as you went on your journey, what do you feel like worked well? What surprised you, and what advice would you have for other founders considering AI features?
Well, I think that part of the journey of doing this project was that uh, I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to build from my own purposes because it was something that I had done for myself. But to be able to articulate that and turn that into something that is going to be possible for an engineer to develop, that was a little bit of that probably took a little bit more time than I expected. What worked great with HAL9 is that HAL9 assigned somebody to me, and we would have regular meetings to discuss it and go over the details of things. And then we worked on a weekly basis, so it was just kind of an iteration where he would give me the first prototype. We got the first prototype after less than a week, and then I would say, no, I don't want that. I want this, and then we kind of work it that way. So I think the thing that worked really well was just that iterative process because I didn't know what I wanted to build until after you get sort of the framework together and a couple of things, and you don't know exactly what kind of problems you're going to run into until you actually get some code done.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. And I guess just kind of what's next for your product here? Where do you want to take this?
Oh, we've got a lot of things that I want to do. You can see from the screen share here is that right now there is we've got a section in here where we keep track of all the books that you've tried to publish before. So we've got like a user login feature. This needs a lot more fleshing out. So that's the next thing that we're working on. And we want to be able to tie it in with other things. We also have a nice little, I'll show you there's a way to go to we have a shop here. So you can actually see some of the books that have been printed already. And we're working on making it so that this will be a regular store where we can sell all the other books that people have printed with us. So there's a lot more to do here.
Very cool. Thank you. And every time, I talk to you, Richard, I come away thinking about, well, what book should I write? So,
Exactly.
all right. So I'll just grab control back from you for a second now. So I can move on to Propio. So Propio is an AI bookkeeping startup, and we have Rodrigo Carriedo, the founder there. Rodrigo, please take it away. You're muted, Rodrigo.
Thank you so much, Lou. Let me share my screen very quickly to share a little bit more about what we do at Propio, and then to demonstrate what Hell9 helped us build. So we work only for accounting firms. This is the opportunity that we have found, is that most accounting software today is built for the end user, for businesses, and the accounting firms are an afterthought. And we found this niche. We also found that, it's many clients are willing to pay a lot of money for these services to accounting firms, but accounting firms, they don't want to offer these services to all of their clients because it's just too labor intensive. It's difficult to find the right talent to do this. You can outsource it to other countries, but it's difficult to find reliable partners in those other countries. So we decided to build a solution, again, specific for accounting firms, that starts with data collection, either structured or unstructured, of all of the information from their clients on a regular basis. Then to categorize the transactions into the right accounts using the accounting softwares that they already use. So we don't replace the underlying accounting software. Our system operates it. And the last part of this, the way we add value, is with reports. And why reports are very important? The traditional accounting reports are P&L, balance sheet, and maybe cash flow statement. But for accounting firms to really deliver additional value, they need to explain those reports to their clients. So for us, it was very important that if we wanted to add value for accounting firms, that we had a smart report that could tell a story about the business, how they did, the areas of opportunity for growth, the red lights on things that are happening, or some alarms on what's happening with their business. And I'll show you in a second how that report looks like. Give me 1 second. So this is our platform. Now here you have the list of clients. Here is where all of the transactions come to Propio, again, either from structured or unstructured sources. And then in the reporting, that it's kind of the last step of the workflow for an accounting firm offering the services to their clients. So we had the traditional balance sheet and profit and loss, but we have this AI report. And this AI report is very important for the reasons that I already mentioned. And here you see that with one click, they can generate a standardized report for all of their clients. Where can you see the report?
Yes.
Yeah. Where it tells that story. And it starts with, hey, these are the takeaways from your month, right? This is how much money you made. This is how you spent your money. These are the cash reserves. Oh, by the way, you gotta save around 30% of your net profit, about $12,000 for the case of this client, for your taxes at the end of the year, so that there are no surprises, and also so that that relationship between the accounting firm and their client improves, because there's a better alignment in the expectations. Yeah, and the accountant can take this report that it was generated with the help of HAL9, and we can get into the details in a second. And now accounting firms can, with one click, produce this for all of their clients at the end of each month, and just add substantial more value versus just delivering a P&L or a balance sheet that basically many of the smaller firms don't even open, because it's for them just a different language. They don't want to read the chart of accounts, but they don't want to read, what's that, if it's balanced or not balanced. This is what they want to read. And it can be, we work with several accounting firms that serve mostly the Latino community. So this report can be produced in the language of preference of the end client. So the one that I just demonstrated is in English, but they can also produce it in Spanish. So that's what we built with the help of HAL9. I want to say that one of the let me stop sharing my screen here. But one of the problems that we were facing, so we have an engineering team in-house, but we had so many competing priorities, right? And as we were trying to get a prototype, because we get a prototype of this report into production, we faced multiple challenges, especially when it comes to standardize the report, so that every time that the accounting firm hit click on generating this report for each of their clients, they look similar, no? So that they get what they expect. And for us, it was becoming more and more difficult to get there. And that's where the opportunity to work with HAL9 came up, and they were amazing in helping us to take this all the way from a prototype into something in production that can add value immediately.
That's awesome. Thank you, Rodrigo. And looking at that report, I can imagine how valuable that would have been at some of the previous companies I worked with. So that looks very valuable. Glad to hear, how helpful working with HAL9 was. I guess in your journey overall, what do you feel like worked well? What might have surprised you? And what advice would you have for other founders?
Yeah, so I think that going back to our own internal struggle, it's very easy to kind of imagine how things might work with AI. And the gap between that and having something working well in production with AI, that it's by definition something that it's not deterministic but stochastic, is extremely difficult to get it there in the way you expect it to be. So this is where, and you can go to GCP, you can go to Azure, you can go to all of these different platforms and see that they have their own workflows, but still someone has to go through those workflows. Someone has to become the expert on those workflows. And this is where HAL9 was very, very helpful for us, because it wasn't only the platform where we can bring this idea into production, but it was that human help to guide us and to say, hey, no, so this is what's possible, this is what it is not possible, or these are the things that are required for this to be possible, no, and guiding us through those different stages to get all the way there. In a way that we have learned now way more about how to build agents, how to do this, and we are very, very excited of what is coming next in our partnership with HAL9.
That's fantastic. And I love hearing from both you and Richard how important that individual coaching, that human touch, the human expertise that HAL9 provides is. I feel like that's one of the things that really distinguishes us from, a lot of platforms in the market, is assigning that one-to-one coaching and contact to help you move forward. So that's fantastic. Would you like to share anything, any next steps on your products? Where are you taking it next?
Yeah, so we are this whole part of reports is becoming more and more important, and especially as we work in trying to bring everything that it's the purpose of for small businesses to do their accounting, that it's tax filing, and everything that we built. And to close that gap, we want to ensure that the whole experience is geared towards that tax filing at the end of the month, and also for tax strategies throughout the year. So these reports, know that right now they tell the story from a financial point of view. If we can add more flavor to, hey, by the way, if by the end of the year you're gonna be paying, we estimate that you're gonna be paying $50,000 in taxes. If you want to purchase an asset next month, that would decrease your tax burden at the end of the year. And there are these other three suggestions that you can talk with us, the accounting firm, to help you minimize that tax burden or to make better strategic decisions about how to pay your taxes, etc.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So picking up from there, oops, what happened there? Let's try that again. Something on that slide decided to do something. Hang on. There we go. So I loved both of those stories because both Rodrigo and Richard really hit on a lot of the points, not just of useful advice for founders, but also where HAL9 comes in. So as we kind of already touched on a bit, HAL9 steps in and really helps founders with their product journey. And we approach this as a series of build sprints, fully managed, which means we provide full service. We help design and build and host and maintain your AI features. The one-on-one, we've already heard from the speakers about the importance of that expert support, where we work with you to help design your prompts, select the model, understand the behavior of what's going on, navigate the complexity of the AI landscape. Now, a question we often get is IP, and it's very important that you know that all the IP is yours. The code, the data, the IP, the roadmap, you own everything. And so when we develop a solution, it is portable. And again, proven results. We have over 25 active startups building with us, powering products with over 10,000 users and millions of monthly interactions. And we help you with everything from chatbots to agentic workflows to full stack applications. So as Richard, I think, touched on really well, part of the benefit here is that you can focus on what's most important to you. You can focus on the value prop of your product. You can focus on reaching your audience. You can focus on marketing and really connecting with the audience. HAL9 handles the glue work for you, that back-end infrastructure, that scalable back-end that comes out of the box with us. So we handle all the complexity of the infrastructure, in terms of hosting, scaling, secrets, observability, do so in a way that deploys from GitHub. So you've got CI/CD built in, meaning that you can maintain and extend and build and create new versions over time reasonably. We've got built-in support for all the complexity you need, vector databases, agentic workflows, Kubernetes, etc. And while we've while most often founders come to us when they're reaching the point where they want to take that prototype into production, as Rodrigo mentioned, you can engage with us at any point from day one to scaling up. We're happy to talk. We're happy to provide that advice. We're happy to engage with you and figure out, whether we're the right fit or whether we can just encourage you and provide some advice along the way till you get to that point. And I think most importantly is you can get started very quickly. And I think you heard a little bit of both of that from both the speakers. So you can get started quickly with a robust, extensible, portable backend that your CTO is going to love, whether or not you already have a CTO. Whether you're very early on and you're looking to create something that you then eventually want to take in-house or be managed in-house, or you already have a team, but perhaps not the bandwidth or the expertise to develop it from the ground up, HAL9 can help you. So in terms of how we work, as I said, we work with you week to week. I think Richard covered that well in terms of checking in weekly with his contact as we were developing the solution, helping get that starting with something, providing it, reacting to it, providing feedback, integrating that feedback, and iterating till we get to the right point. HAL9 runs on a number of different cloud platforms and integrates with all the essential systems, and those integrations are growing every day as we talk to more customers and discover more requirements that we want to deliver. Now, in terms of pricing, for pricing, we really want to set the context, because if you were to do this in other ways, say hiring a freelance AI agency that would build something for you from the ground up, that could easily cost $25,000 for a starter project. And often that agency will build you something and then go away, or there'll be additional costs for maintaining and extending it over time. You might want to hire your own AI engineer, assuming you can find a good one. It could easily cost you $20,000 a month to get going there. And so it's very expensive, to get help in this sort of area. And that's really where HAL9 comes in, because we want to make it easy for a much wider audience to build products, deliver value, capture financial value in return based on those products. And so our startup plans are all inclusive, month to month, cancelable at any time, with a no risk satisfaction guarantee. If after the first month you're not happy, we're happy to refund your money. And so with that, we're only $2,000 a month, all inclusive for these startup plans. So this makes product development available to a much wider audience. And again, this includes not just design and build, but maintenance and extension over time. So we'll, in terms of what happens for next steps, we're happy to talk. Y'all will be getting a link to this as well. But if you'd like to talk with Javier or someone else on the team about your journey, feel free to book a no-cost call. You can use the QR code here. You can go to our website or respond to the email that we send you. But again, no cost. This is just a chance to talk to Javier or someone else on our team and really get help from our team and help you on your journey. So with that, we'll go to Q&A. But before we do, Javier, is there anything you'd like to add before we switch over to Q&A? You're muted, Javier.
If you want to go back a couple slides to the onboarding slide, I think that's, so one of the things that first of all, we love working with Rodrigo and Richard. And I would say that you heard from both of them kind of like how they approach problems, and that's compatible with the way that we believe that we should be doing AI. You mentioned it, Lou, that we are very iterative. So we do weekly updates, like sprints, and the like. Some people have described us as agile AI, right? So we're here to really iterate. And to me, what is amazing is that I think that's the only way of building successful products, like the one from Richard with Proofbound and Propio with Rodrigo, right? So I think it's important, I think, for founders to think of this as an iterative process, because the technology is so new that is at times even really hard to provide accurate estimates, right? So as Richard was saying, it's important to see it working in front of you, because like until you don't see it working, you really don't know exactly what you're getting, right? So that point of view of Richard of doing it first manually, right? Like getting a sense of how things work and being very resourceful in that way is really important. And what is interesting is that the way that Rodrigo is doing it is also very similar. But in the case of Rodrigo, you've been doing Propio for like a year or two, right? So the product already existed, right? And it was we didn't started working with you from scratch. When we started working with you, there was already a product. And something really cool, I think that Propio is doing. I don't think that's a secret, Rodrigo, but they're using feature flags, which I believe is a concept that was introduced by Facebook to really to be able to move really fast, even though they have already a user base and customers and they're successful. They were able to carve out a prototype with us, like a minimum viable product with a feature flag. So that basically means only a subset of their users get to see like the super latest, AI reports and integrations that they're doing. And then over time, they're able to like bring the entire user base. So to me, that's also like a great way of running products and engineering teams, because it doesn't mean that you need to start from scratch to be iterative, and be able to to produce useful prototypes and experimentations with AI. So yeah, I mean, definitely love working with founders like Rodrigo and Richard, and thanks for joining us on this webinar.
Awesome. Thank you, Javier.
Hey, can I just add a couple of things? I don't know.
Absolutely, please do.
This is the Q&A part. One of the things that I think a lot of people, we've all used ChatGPT, so we all know how easy it is to get a technical question answered. And even if you want some code developed, ChatGPT will do that for you. But one of the things that I recognize, and also that I think that a lot of people have noticed, is that it's pretty easy to get to that like 90% level where you've got most of what you want. And then getting to that last part is the tricky part. And unless you're really experienced, it's hard to get that last piece done. And that's where it's really nice to have a partner like Hal9. One specific example that came up when we were developing Proofbound was there is a issue where we want to generate really pretty covers, book covers. That's an important part of if you're going to try to get somebody interested in your book. And I can do that, I suppose, like if I take the time and I do the right prompting or whatever for ChatGPT. But one of the tricky parts is that you have to make sure that the sizing is exactly right. And like if the spine of the book is a certain, it's related to like the number of pages that are involved. It's related to the size of the font and a bunch of other things. And yeah, I could do that. And if I spent a lot of time iterating with ChatGPT, I could probably come up with that. But like I mentioned before, I'm busy, I've got other things to do, but more importantly, it's nice to work with somebody else, just another pair of eyes, but also, somebody else who's going to really study whether that thing worked or not. And, sometimes ChatGPT will hallucinate, and you've got to take that into account when you're working on something. And so that's kind of my other just observation why it's nice to work with a partner. Even if you think that ChatGPT is a solution for a lot of problems, it's a solution for most of the problems. And as anybody who knows what it's like to ship a product is that shipping most of a product is not the same thing as shipping a product.
Absolutely. And what you were saying there about the 90% made me think of one of my favorite quotes from Yogi Berra, an old baseball player, of the first 90% of the job takes the first 90% of the time, the last 10% of the job takes the other 90% of the time. And I feel like that is very, very true of software development and so many things in life. Getting close, that last bit takes so much longer. Before we switch to Q&A, Rodrigo, is there anything you wanted to add?
Just it is something very, very similar. It's we started with a prototype. It was very easy to do it in ChatGPT and in other places, but taking that to something again that can be standardized, scalable, predictable, etc., was a huge burden that we were struggling with. So that's where HAL9 helped us to navigate that last stage to taking it all the way to production into something that it's a reliable feature for our partners. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, we got a couple of questions, so let's make some time for those. So we've touched a little bit on this, but this is also a question that we got live when we were at AI Week a couple weeks ago. So what if I'm not technical? How involved do I need to be in the process? How much of my time is required? Throwing this out to everybody.
Yeah, I would love to put Rodrigo or Richard on the spot. I mean, obviously, in general, from a HAL9 point of view, what we require is at the very least 1 week per, one meeting per week. But I think in practice, you're putting way more time, right? And I know that, Rodrigo, you were involved in, drafting how the reports should look like, playing a bit with ChatGPT. So I'm pretty sure it was not just that weekly meeting. It was probably way more. And for Richard, a good amount of time as well. I think you might have to unmute.
Yeah, so for this specific feature, and I think that there was kind of a soft work or unstructured work done for several weeks before we even got to start working with HAL9 in the prototyping this, etc. And then after we started working with HAL9, it was less than a month uh, for when we actually were able to see the first PDF of that report ready to be sent out to the clients of the accounting firms that we work with. So huge time savings. And I really like the comparisons that you have there, Lou, in terms of what would have taken for us to either hire an agency to do this or to hire an AI engineer if we had found one to do this. No, so
Awesome. So Javier, I think this question may be a little more for you, which is, can I use my own models or infrastructure with HAL9?
Yeah, so the way that we touch a little bit on that, but everything that you build in HAL9 is your IP, and it's also based on code, on specifically on Python code. So you can use any model that you want. But still, one of the most popular ones is still OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini. We're starting to see some usage of Grok as well. So yeah, you can use any model that you want. As part of being your AI partner experts, we help you choose the model. But there's some entrepreneurs and founders, right, that really are invested into using ChatGPT or Gemini because they did their prototyping like Rodrigo did and Richard, right? I think Richard, you're a fan of Anthropic, and so we honor that, and that's perfectly fine. You can also, we have our own infrastructure in hal9.com. So that's kind of like our cloud that you can use. We have the platform ready also to install HAL9 in your own cloud. But to be honest, that's more for scaling later on. At the very beginning, while we're building the solutions and the first iterations, it doesn't make sense to install HAL9 on itself on your own cloud. That's just too resource intensive and more work and more installation. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely bring your own models. If you have API keys also from services, right? Or if you need to connect to third parties, yeah, we can integrate all of that mostly because we use Python code, and Python code basically lets you do anything that is possible out there to do. Like I still have to find something that is not possible to do with Python. So yeah, the short answer is yes, Lou. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're just about at time. So before we wrap up, any of the speakers want to add anything? Okay.
I can add for them definitely. Richard already mentioned it, but you can go to proofbound.com. Check that out. We'll definitely put the link on our post and the like. And with Rodrigo, you go to
joinpropio.com.
joinpropio.com. Yeah. Soon we're gonna buy propio.com, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the dream. I don't know who owns it, but yes.
It's a real estate company in the UK that we will
One
have
day
to negotiate that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Lou.
Good luck with that. And thank you all. Rodrigo, Richard, thank you very much for sharing your stories. It was great to hear them. Javier, thanks for being here. Thanks for everyone who attended and asked questions. Really appreciated. And again, if you'd like to continue your AI journey, feel free to visit our website or use this QR code to set up a time to talk to Javier. We're happy to help you on your AI journey and give you advice. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.